How's it going, everybody? This is Era and your captain here, bringing you a One Piece deck profile on the simulator. Since we don't have the cards yet, but since pre-release is coming this weekend, hoping to obtain every card that I'm missing. Mostly like 4, 8, 12 cards. But anyway, before we get started, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Join the pirate crew and hit that bell notification so you know when a new video is uploaded to the channel. Other than that, let's get into this deck profile. So our leader is the starter deck 10 from the 3 captains, Trafalgar Law. And he's a 5k base power leader. Dual color, red and purple. Active main, once returned, Dawn -3. Return one of your opponent's characters with a 3k power or less to the bottom of their deck. Then play one 4-cost or lower character from your hand. So this effect is very strong, especially against opponents' characters that are usually 5k base. 6k base is a great tickle spot for your Gordons and your Raise Max, and then anything above that you're gonna have to put some work in, sadly. But his second effect is then play one 4-cost or lower character from your hand. So that's wrong on the simulator. It should say up to 1, so you're not mandatory to call a character from your hand to the field when you use his effect. If you want to keep a card in your hand, you can. Just letting you know that you don't have to. But it's just such a strong effect. Now, let's get into what makes the leader's main ability so strong with the cards that support his effect. Get it off more consistently. We got 4 Otamas. He's the 1-drop, 0k, 2k counter on play. Give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 during this turn. Just like another character that we run, she does wonders against opponents' 5k base body characters. She will help you get rid of cards on the field early game, especially if you don't have the character Trafalgar Law. And that's why we run her, just to keep that more consistency up for minusing the power of your opponent's characters. And another good reason to run her is she is a 2k body. Usually you don't drop her down for her effect. It only comes up as a backup, just in case if you don't have Trafalgar Law in your hand when you need it to minus a character that's a 5k base. And then we run 4 copies of Rower Zoro. He's a 3-drop, 5k, no counter, rush body. So right when you play him, you get to attack your opponent's character or your opponent's life right away. And then we run 4 copies of the new best blocker. I think this is like the best blocker in the whole game. This blocker is so broken. So he is Shuraya. I think I'm pronouncing that Shuraya. He's a gold digger. He's a 3-drop, 4k body, 1k counter blocker. And this is what makes him the best blocker in the whole game right now. When attacking or when blocking, once returned, this character gains the power. This character base power becomes the same power of your opponent's leader until the start of your next turn. So this is what makes it so broken. If your opponent swings 10k to one of your characters, and you have, let's say, this blocker, he's only a 6k. So with Shariah, you can block with him, and then your opponent's leader that's swinging for 10, he also becomes a 10k body. And then all you have to do is discard a 1k counter or a 2k counter just to finalize that block and not let it go through. And same thing goes for when attacking. Let's say your opponent pulls off a trigger that gives him +1, or you're swinging into a leader that's a 6k body, 6k base power. He becomes a 6k swinger, or if your opponent activates a trigger and he's a 5, now he's a 6, you still get to swing for 6, which is very amazing. Love this effect. And his power level does not go down until the start of your turn. So if your opponent was thinking swing 10 with his leader and then swing 8 with any character that he has on board that's an 8k power to kill it, because he would think it's a 4k base power, nope, he is still 10 until the start of your next turn. So your opponent's gonna be like, damn it, I'm gonna have to swing at the character I committed 5 Dawn onto my leader to swing at. Which is fine, because now you just baited out an attack and wasted one of his attacks just to kill one of your characters that he committed so much Dawn onto his leader. But yeah, super great card, super broken card. Love this card. Can't wait to get his full art, and you know, just get 4 copies. And that jacket, man, this guy Shariah, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but I think this guy is wearing some Adidas, bro. Look at the 3 stripes. He's wearing some tracksuits. Love it. Gotta get this jacket. And then the best card is 4 copies of Raise Max. 1 drop, 2k. Active main. When place this character at the bottom of the deck, of the owner's deck, give up to one of your opponent's characters 3k power during this turn. It's a Gordon. We finally got another copy of Gordon. Luckily, I'm glad I kept my copies of Gordon's. Should have picked up a lot more when he was cheap, but technically I only need 4 copies, so I can use. But having Raise Max will help with not having extra copies of Gordon's. Maybe another deck that I'm trying to use only runs 4 copies of Gordon's effect. Other than that, Raise Max, super good. And then pretty much Raise Max but bald. Same, I think the same head. Yeah, this one just has balls and got his foreskin cut off. But yeah, this is a 1 drop 2k active main. You may return this card to the bottom of the deck, give up to your opponent's -3k power during this turn. Same effect, just a thicker text, just like his thick head. It looks like balls in the shaft. So 4 copies, maximize the effect of minusing your character's power just to use Trafalgar Law's effect. And now we run 4 copies of our 4 drop 5k Trafalgar Law 1k counter on play, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 during this turn. This is a great card, especially if you go first or second. You don't drop it right away. You don't try to use, what I've been doing is I really try real hard not to use not try to use my leader's ability in the first 2 turns, I wait until I get to 5 or 7 Dawn. And that's when I'll start using his effect, just so I have enough Dawn up and I have enough plays to do to rush my opponent and secure the game. Because the only hardest matchup you'll have with this deck is yellow. Facing yellow will make you sick, fellow. I don't know how that saying goes, but yeah. I really try to not use my effect for bottom decking my opponent's characters. I wait until I get to at least 7 Dawn. That's where I'm usually comfortable. That's when I'll start using a leader's ability. That way I have a lot more options to bomb deck my opponent and swarm the board with characters that will, recoup my Dawn loss after using my leader's ability. It's a hefty cost for minusing 3 Dawn. And that's what separates the good players and the bad players. If you played purple, you'd know when to minus Dawn and when not to minus Dawn. That takes quite a bit of skill, knowing when to do it and when not to do it, and how much are you going to be falling back from Dawn wise. And then card that will help us recoup our Dawn loss and make our leaders cost -3, -2 instead is our 4 copies of our 5-drop 6k 1k counter SS Captain Kid. Locker, once per turn, your turn. When a Dawn card on the field returns to your Dawn deck, add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. Love this effect. Another, I gotta say, second best blocker in the game, next to Shariah. His effect of recovering a Dawn is so good. I think this is like the best purple blocker that we currently have. It used to be Queen, but now it's SS Captain Kid, because now you don't have to worry about losing too much Dawn when using characters or leaders effects. Just get that 1 Dawn back, and it does matter. And then 4 copies of our 4-drop 5k 1k counter Vinsmoke Reiju. She is a new character that comes out in OP06. Again, just like Shariah, I can't wait to get her full art. This artwork is still good, but I can't wait to see it in person and see what the difference are and of the quality of alt art and the super rare. This does look good too. So her on play is if you have equal or less Dawn on your field, then your opponent, if you have 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 2 cards. And this was what the problem was with Trafalgar Law, is resource management in hand. Especially against big body characters, you would have to waste so much just to minus your opponent's characters. And there are other cards that we used to run when this deck first came out, and it was Roundtable. This is still a great tech. I think someone can sneak this in a build where you just run 1 copy, just that 1. And just minusing 10k, anything on board they drop that's a 10k body is a bye-bye, which is not bad, but sadly is not a card that you can search any form of way that we have, that the cards that Bandai has currently provided us. There's no way of searching this card specifically, sadly, so you would just have to top deck Heart of the Cards this from whatever situation you're in, and you pray to God that you get it. in hand on that perfect moment in that perfect situation. But yeah, 4 copies of Rachel. And then we got 4 copies of a 4-drop 5k Iron on play. Add 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. There's another card that I thought about running, but you would have to go first. And usually I do like to go first. The reason why I would run this card is because, or consider running this card, is I usually like to go first, to be honest. And this is an on play, rest 1 Dawn, so if you go first, you're at 5 Dawn, you're at 6 Dawn. And Iron is when you're at, if you're going second, drop her, get 1 rested Dawn, you're at 5 Dawn. Heck, even if you go first with Iron, you're at 5 Dawn, rest 4, you're still at 6. You don't have to rest a Dawn to, just like Jean Bart. You still have that 1 active. It's pretty much the same, but his requires a Dawn to be active to use his on play effect, which I might test it out. This, it's not too hard to get this effect off, especially with Law. And if you go first, you'll get this effect consistently off, I'd say, because heck, there's nothing stopping you. You go first and using his effect just to ramp 1 Dawn and still get that 1 Dawn active to attach to your leader, or use to call for Raise Max or Gordon or Otama and get rid of whatever they have. But if you're thinking about calling another Jean Bart, that's what will stop you. And that's why I think Ian has a better effect than Jean Bart, because if you try to go back to back Ian, then you'll get her effect off. But if you try to go back to back Jean Bart, you won't be able to. Let's say in a situation where you play a Raise Max and a Gordon after using Jean Bart's to get that 1 Dawn up. You tap it, call your Raise Max or Gordon, use the effect, on deck their character, call something, and let's say the only card that's worth calling is another Jean Bart. You won't get his effect again because you do not have a Dawn that's active to regain that Dawn. But Ian does have that option to do, is still gain that Dawn rested, and you don't have to use a Dawn that's active to get a Dawn that's to ramp a Dawn. Alright, enough of me trying to explain stupid shit. Let's get into our rest of our characters. We got our 4 copies of our 1-drop 0k 2k counter Buena Vista. On play, look at the top 5 cards, reveal up to 1 field type character other than Buena Vista and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of the deck. And this is why I run Ian instead of Jean Bart, is because she is a film type character and she is target Buena Vista. So we have 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 targets, because Buena Vista can't target himself, so we have 20 targets to hit with his effect. And he's a 2k counter, so that's why we run him too. And he does come in handy when looking for a Raise Max to secure that game win if you really need it, to get rid of a blocker that can't be KO'd. You know what I'm saying? Like the black Porcelino or the black Sabo. Such annoying cards. And then we run 4 copies of a 4-drop 5k 2k counter on play. If there are 3 or less Dawn on the field, you may add up to 2 Dawn on your deck from your deck. Set them as rested. And this is Sachi and Penguin, super great card, very much the staple of the deck for Trafalgar Law, and this is how you get this card's effect consistently off, is through Trafalgar Law. Any other way is pretty much impossible unless purple finally gets a card that lets you call a Heart Pirate. That's a 4-drop from hand when you're at 3 Dawn. Then we run 4 copies of a 4-drop, 5k, or 2 copies of a 4-drop, 5k, 1k counter, blocker, Trafalgar Law, on play, -1 if your opponent has 7 cards. In hand, you may trash 2 cards from their hand. Super great card, and especially against yellow, this does help. But sometimes, you know, yellow will expect it because you're a purple player. They'll expect Trafalgar Law, and heck, they can also hit a trigger, and then it just ruins your plans. So Trafalgar Law, to get this effect consistently off turn 1 will be damn near, not impossible, but damn near hard to do. Then we got our 4 copies of a 4-drop, 5k, Beepo! On play, when attacking, if your Dawn on the cards on your opponents is greater than the number of Dawn cards on your field, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck rested to your cost area. Another great card. Since we still don't have Bond Clay until EB01, this is why we're running IN, but once this card comes out, we're running max 4. But yeah, that is the deck profile. Let me know what other cards you would run within this deck, Trafalgar Law. I do see people also try to run Itakuri Kazuma or Kazu. Kazu! I don't know how to say his name. Itokiri Kamazu. It's pretty much it, or what? What's his name? Getting Killer. It's pretty much Killer. It really is Killer. Just look at the blonde hair. Look at that. Same blades, same shit, just a scythe. Coincidence? I think not. But yeah, that is the deck profile. Thank you for watching if you made it all the way to the end of the video. And if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit that bell notification so you know when a new video is uploaded to the channel. Leave a comment. How would you change your deck? What would you add? What would you take out? Would you add events in this deck? I see some decks that do run it. On that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next One Piece video.